What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the skill that 70% of millionaires actually attribute their success to. Most of them attribute their success to it. And I'm here with my friend Luke.
So,
He
man,
actually specializes in this. His entire business is built around this. This is the skill that made him a millionaire. So today we're going to be talking about sales. As you know, I actually did sales in the beginning. I sold cars, which is probably the worst sales you can get into in today's
tough,
day and age. Yeah.
tough.
And eventually I transitioned into selling for Tai Lopez, and I was selling programs for him, high ticket programs. And that's how I made my first six figures, like really, really easily, actually. So if you want to expand on that, you want to talk about your experience with sales, Luke?
Yeah, 100%. I'm curious though, because obviously we talked about this, and
Yeah.
and thank you to everybody. I don't know which camera to look at. Thank you everybody for having me on here, bro. When you sold for Ty, obviously you made good money with that. Is that what kicked off your ability to do everything you did afterwards?
100%. I think there's two types of people, right? People that want to start a business and then people that want a job. And there's pros and cons to both of them. When you have a job, you don't have to necessarily worry about too much. A
Hmm.
business is stressful. Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. They don't realize it's stressful having to pay employees, not
Hmm.
knowing where your next paycheck is going to come from, not knowing all the other variables that are scary a little bit, right? Whereas with a job, especially a job like sales, you can make a ton of money more than any other job, and you could still feel some sort of security. You can still, you don't have to worry about fulfilling for the business.
Yeah,
All you do is sell, and as soon as you sell it, you're done.
it's a lot less
It's a
responsibility.
lot less
As long as
responsibility.
you're good, I mean,
Mhm.
that's the most stable thing you could ever have. Is if you're good, you don't got to worry ever about getting paid ever
Yeah.
again.
So I would highly recommend it. But for me, when I worked for Ty, I was selling programs and it gave me insight on how the business worked. Because I recommend everyone before they start a business, you should learn how a business actually works.
I agree, and there's no better way than sales
Yeah, and
because you're looking at the sales, the marketing, the product, the
mhm.
team, customer support, everything.
When you do sales, you actually learn a lot about whatever it is you're selling. Like it's weird. I'm not a big car guy, but
Mhm.
I know so much about cars because I used to sell them. So it's the same thing for selling anything. If you sell pool tables, for example, you're going to become an expert in pool tables, and
Mhm.
then eventually you could use the money you make from sales to start a pool table company selling pool tables at scale,
Yeah, which
right?
is a lot easier because a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I want to get into business," and they see
Mhm,
all these different courses or
mhm.
YouTube guys saying, "Start this model," and then they realize, "Oh wait, I don't actually know anything about this business.
Yeah.
Like I know the business model because someone told me about it, but I
Mhm.
don't know the actual how it works," and it's usually too late.
And the thing is, when people think sales, they think like aggressive. They think forcing a product on someone, and
Yeah.
that's not even what sales is.
No.
Sales is you're almost like a doctor. You prescribe a solution depending on what their problem is.
Yep.
So sometimes when people say, "I want a fast car," when I was selling cars, and I would sell cars at a used car dealership, there would be a bunch of different cars, and people would say, "I want a fast car." Cool, and I show them fast cars, and they say, "Oh, these aren't reliable." And you have to be honest with them. You can't say, "Oh, this one's reliable." It's the worst thing you can say.
Yeah.
You say, "Do you want reliable? Do you want fast? Do you want luxury?" Because there's different cars depending on what you need.
Hmm.
So I wasn't necessarily even trying to force them into a car, regardless of how expensive it was. I was trying to find the best solution for what they wanted.
100%. And I mean that's what we do too. So let's backtrack because I asked you a question and I forgot the question you asked me. So you started in sales. I obviously
Yeah,
started in sales. We're no longer in sales,
right.
but it's I mean you're how many years removed? How many years ago was that?
The last time I did sales was like 6 years ago,
Yeah,
five, six
like
years
that's a
ago.
long time.
It's a long time.
I'm 2 almost 3 years now
But I
removed.
do have to say this: sales never really leaves you.
No.
Say like you're selling every single day in your life.
Hmm.
When I go and I want to park my car somewhere, I do this all the time. If I want to park my car somewhere and there's a valet guy there, I'm like, bro, let me just leave you here for 20 minutes. And you have to sell him on why you should be allowed to leave your car there for 20 minutes, right? Let's say I like a girl. I'm in a relationship now, so I don't talk to women anymore. But let's just get that out there. But let's say there was a girl here, right? I need to sell myself on why she should go on a date with me.
Hmm. No,
Yeah.
100%.
So you're selling yourself every single day.
I agree.
It bleeds into the rest of your life. So I feel like this is a skill that base level, any single person, even if you want to start a business, let's say you don't even want to do sales, you should still know sales. So I saw you early on Twitter because you were like blowing up on Twitter.
How early?
I want to say like 2 years ago.
Okay.
2 years. I think we've known each other for about 2 years.
Mm.
I saw you 2 years ago, and that's when I started to learn more about you. And you really just like started blowing up more and more. And you did it through sales. So What was your experience with sales? Because I know you came from being broke as well. Obviously, the same story everyone has. I was broke and now I'm rich.
Yeah.
But like, what is that like for you? Like, what happened?
Okay, so I mean, you were in the agency game. So I started an agency
Okay.
because I'll skip like the backstory, whatever. I'm sure people already know that, but yeah, went from being middle of nowhere, small town,
Mhm.
no internet, broke, moved to college to get internet access, and then I started an agency because I was like, well, I got to sell. I knew at the time I had to sell something because
Yeah.
that's how you get money in a transaction. But like, it was either sell items, like I sell clothes, or I sell like furniture, like stuff I was buying on eBay or
Right.
whatever. And I was like, I got to sell something more expensive, and I didn't really know what high ticket was and all this. So I started an agency, started selling Facebook ads to realtors, like everyone and their mom does.
Mhm.
And then that expanded. I made my first 100K with an agency.
Okay.
But the thing I always tell people is I made my first 100K with the agency business model, but with the skill of sales. Because
Right.
I wasn't the best marketer. I wasn't the best at running ads. I didn't get the best results and all that. But I was really good at selling my offer and I had a lot of conviction in it, which means I still was able to close deals. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? From there, I kind of realized, you know what? Why am I doing all this work? Because we mentioned fulfillment earlier. I'm running ads, I'm building funnels, I'm talking to clients, I'm managing like 4 or 5 contractors, and I'm keeping like 40, 50% of profit each month.
Mhm.
I was like, this is so stupid. Like, why am I doing this? So I think the first, I don't remember who it was, but I started to see like high ticket sales and whatever. And I was like, that's a good idea. Like, maybe I should just stop doing the work because the thing I'm good at the end of the day is sales.
Right.
Like, I'll give you a quick example. I'm in my apartment where I'd straight dropped out of college, it's like $500 a month apartment in Ohio. And this lady in the ClickFunnels Facebook group one day was like, "Hey, who can build me a webinar?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, I saw someone like talking about a webinar like the week before. They sold one for like 20 grand, like a
Mhm.
build. And I was like, light bulb moment, I could do that. Never built a webinar, but like, I mean, that's how business is. You figure it out later. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get on a 2 hour long call with her because I didn't have a call structure, but I think it was just the conviction I had in myself and like she bought me, not the offer, not
Yeah.
this. I
Mhm.
didn't have anything to show. So the most expensive thing I'd ever sold before that was $1,000. It was like Facebook ads and a funnel,
Right.
whatever. So I literally was like, you know what? I just had a feeling. I was like, this is like the shot. I can like take a big shot here. So we get to the end of the call, and I'm like, hey, it's gonna be 10 grand. And I was like, no idea what I was doing. I was just saying 10 grand.
Mhm.
And she pauses and she's like this, and I'm like, "Oh, I blew the deal. I coulda got money." And I'm, like,
Yeah.
trying to, like, survive, so I needed the money. And she goes, "I thought it was gonna be a lot more expensive. Okay, we can do it." And I'm like, "Fuck." But at the same time, I'm like, "Okay, this is great."
Right.
So she paid me 10 grand. This was in
Mhm.
2019, and I called my mom and I'm like, "Mom, I just made $10,000 from, like, a 2-hour phone call."
Mhm.
And she was like, couldn't believe me. No, like,
I know.
she'd
Yeah. I know.
understand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "This is it." Like, this was that light bulb moment, you know what I mean? So I shut down my agency. I built a webinar for her. I shut down my agency, and then I just started to try to go get sales gigs with people that had high ticket offers already. Because
Mhm.
I had learned enough of like, okay, there's coaches in this world. There's people that sell courses. There's people that sell like training and all these expensive like 5, 10, 15, 20, $30,000 offers, right?
Mhm.
And I knew if I can sell a couple of those a day, I don't got to run any ads. I don't got to manage a team, and I can still make as much, if not more, money doing that. So that was the start.
Yeah. I tell everyone if you want to make your first six figures, sales is the way to do it. Don't
Yeah.
start a business. If you start a business to make six figures, it's gonna stress
It's
you
so
out.
hard.
It's
People don't
difficult.
understand how hard it is.
100%. So if you want to make your first six figures, sales. I tell people if you want to make a million, and people don't understand how much money $1 million is. $1 million, you can pretty much do anything. If you spend $1 million a year, and I've done it, so I know this, you can do anything you want in your life. You can drive any car you want. You can fly private. You can go on yachts every week. You can travel whenever you want. You can live in most places. I don't want to say all places,
Mm.
most places. Um, that's what $1 million will get you. But six figures will change your life as well.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
if you want to
I
make
think the
six
biggest
figures,
jump is that.
if you want to make your first six figures, you have to do it through sales. You
I
have to do it
agree.
through sales. Starting a business is way harder, right? And with sales, if you're someone that hates your job, you're miserable. The when you think about it, sales is a great way to stop trading your time for money because you can make, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 grand a month working 2 hours a day
Yeah, I agree. Because
versus,
and I always tell people this, it kind of extrapolates your time out.
yeah.
Because if I have the opportunity, like you only get so many at bats in a day.
Hmm.
That's how I kind of looked at it. And if let's say I'm making $1,000 commission on like a $10,000 offer, I'm selling like somebody's course or program for 10 grand, I get 10%, which is very industry standard. If I take 5 or 6 calls a day, that means for every hour that I spend, I have a chance to make $1,000. And
Yeah,
if I close, our guys right now for my company close 85, 90%, which is absurd
yeah,
on like 150 calls a month. Like they're
crazy.
closing a lot, like
Yeah.
really, really high. But let's say you close 50%.
Mhm.
Let's just give you like a low number. You're still making like really, really, really good money. And every hour of your time is now worth
What
$1,000.
other job can you do that?
You
Think
can't.
about it. There's nothing that really does that.
Yeah, you
Because let's
can't.
say you go to college, you get a 4-year degree, you become an engineer, which is a prestigious job. You're still only making $300 a day,
You're on a
400
salary.
bucks a day, and you're on
Yeah.
a salary. So you're working 8 hours, you're making 300 bucks a day. It's you don't have any free time.
Mm-mm.
You can't really grow out of that. It's gonna take you 20, 30 years to ever become rich.
Yeah, and you can't leave. You don't have location freedom. You
Mm.
can't. And the worst thing to me, like people are always scared of commission, right? Because
Yeah.
I love commission, and it's the analogy I always give is like, okay, cool. Let's take a salaried sales guy. They exist. There's a lot in corporate America. Like most of them are salary. You're capped. So if you work your ass off and then your coworker doesn't do shit, you still make the same amount of money. Like
And
that's aggravating.
whenever I look at commission, I always tell people this: commission is just a bet on yourself.
Exactly.
So if you're the type of person that wants to win, that knows you're a winner, that feels like you're meant for something greater, you have to take the risk. You have to do commission because the go-getters, the winners, they're going to be the ones that like that business model.
Mhm.
Because for me, I want to get paid on commission because I know I'm a winner, right? If you're someone that's scared, you live in fear a little bit, that's when you want a salary position.
And you shouldn't be in business in the first place if
Yeah,
you're like
like
that.
you have to almost make the decision yourself and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna live a very normal life. I'm gonna save my money. I'm gonna invest my money. I don't want to take any sort of risk.
Mhm.
And people like that, I mean, there's not really you can't really help. It's a tough thing. You can't help people like that. I don't want to sound mean,
Well,
but
I mean, like everyone has their own desires, you know?
mhm,
But I always just look at it as like that's fine. We need those people in society. But
yeah,
if you're the kind of person that you know deep down like, okay, I'm not satisfied with that. I want more for my life. I want whatever. You've got to look at it the right way and you can't be stuck in salary because you're just stuck. Like you're stuck forever and you can't grow.
yeah, you can't escape. I was gonna ask you, so what's the biggest because you run like a sales training company now,
Mm.
right? What's the biggest deal one of your students has ever closed?
Um, we've had a lot. I mean, we had a kid make $30,000 in a week last week.
That's
Profit
crazy.
commission, like
That's crazy.
profit, and he's only been in for a little bit.
How old is he?
Um, I don't know how old this kid is. He's in his 20s. He's in his early 20s. I don't want to say like the wrong
That's
number.
wild, cause that's life-changing money. Imagine making 30 grand in your early 20s.
My mom raised my brother and I on like 11 grand a year as a
Yeah,
substitute teacher. And like, yeah, it's crazy.
that's crazy.
We had a guy named Kurt join literally his first month or first week. I can't recall. He sold $100,000 package for I
Mhm.
think it was like one of those like media press kind of companies, like
Yeah.
a huge package, 10 grand commission immediately. You know what I mean?
And sales is crazy because I feel like that's what helped me so well when I started my agency. My first $1 million, I made it through starting an agency.
Mm,
And the reason I was able to succeed in the agency is because not only did I know the marketing, but I also knew the sales aspect of it. Whenever I see people, because I train people now on how to start their own social media marketing agencies,
mm,
and the reason they fail is because they can't close clients.
yeah.
They don't know how to find them. They can't when they get them on the phone. They can't close
You
them.
don't have a business.
They don't. Yeah,
Like that's
exactly.
what every single business relies on at the end of the day, no matter what it is, tech, software, SaaS, agency, whatever. It's how many dollars do you get through the door? How do
Hmm.
you get dollars through the door? It's sales.
So it doesn't matter what skill you have.
Yeah,
You have to have some sort of sales process.
I agree.
Actually, I have a question. So,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are like scared of sales because they don't think they have the right personality for it. Do
Oh
you
yeah,
think
that's a
it's
good
like,
one.
do you think it like requires a very specific type of person?
So he just
Bullshit.
said. So producer over here, he just said that a lot of people are scared of sales because they feel like they don't have the right personality for it.
Yep.
I got to be the first one to tell you, sales is not like an extroverted thing. People assume that, oh, I'm not good because I don't like
It's
talking to
because of the
people.
movies. It's
Yeah,
because of the
they
movies.
think Wolf of Wall Street like buy the fucking whatever it is. It's like it's nothing like that. If you think about sales, it's almost like a dance. You're like a doctor. Imagine someone saying, "I don't have the right personality to be a doctor," and it's like, bro, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You're just finding a solution for people,
Yep.
right? Sales is listening more than it is talking.
It is. It should be like we literally teach 80% when I review a call. 80% of the time you should be listening.
Yeah.
20% of the time you should be talking, and the only words you say are to guide the conversation forward.
One of the biggest sales tricks we used to do, we used to pick up the phone and we used to ask a question. It would be something as simple as, "Oh, so what made you want to hop on the phone today? What made you want to hop on the call today?" And then we would literally mute. And sometimes it'd be really awkward because they would sit there and they'd be like, "Oh, I just wanted to see what this is about." Right? And then our rule was they have to say at least 20 words before we
Oh, so you
answer
guys
again.
you guys would mute not after making the price, but like at the front so they
No,
have
at
to
the front,
talk
yes,
more.
at the front. So we would just say, "Oh, so like, what made you want to jump on the phone?" Mute. And they would say, "I just wanted to see what it's about." Anytime they're short, and if you stay quiet, literally it's better because then they'll be like, and like I've kind of been looking into like businesses and I do this and this and this. And we're like, oh, okay, interesting. Because that was the rule of thumb. Like if they're short, make it real awkward because they'll
Yeah.
keep talking.
I like that. I've never heard that one.
Yeah.
Never heard that one. The
Yeah.
Thai
And
is that a Thai thing?
I mean, that's we got trained to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's literally one thing we did. We just muted and we just let them talk. Because in sales, it's better if they talk because all they're doing is giving you ammunition.
Yeah.
Whenever you're doing sales, your job is just to discover as much as you can, learn as much as you can about the person, what their needs are, what motivates them to buy it. You got to figure out their entire psyche.
It's
You
funny
know?
you said doctor. I mean, you know what the doctor frame is, right? Or because everyone in
What's
sales calls
what's the
things different.
what's the doctor
So like
frame?
one of the things we teach is literally called the doctor frame, and that's
Okay.
the analogy I give is like imagine you go into the doctor's office. Obviously, the nurse does your vitals, whatever you check in.
Yeah.
But when the doctor comes in, he does not just go, "Oh, your arm's hurt. Okay, you need this, 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 and this, and it's this much money." That's not how it works.
Yeah.
He pokes at you. He asks you questions. Does this
He
hurt?
figures out
How
what's
did you
wrong.
do this? Are you on any medication? All these different questions. And then, and only then, when he actually knows what the problem is, he diagnoses what the problem is and then offers you a solution.
Yep.
And it's not, and it's very simple. Like, obviously, that's like just high level, but that's what we teach beginners is because they come in like with the Wolf of Wall Street and all these movies, and
Yeah.
they think sales is like, I got to be charismatic, I got to be all this stuff. Some of the best salespeople I've ever met are super introverted. They don't even
Mhm.
talk in public, but they
Yeah.
get on a call and they get in people's fucking head to where the people are just like out loud saying, I really need to do this.
And the thing about sales too, because this is gonna get real psychology nerdy, but the human brain, there's the reptilian part, like the front side of the brain, and the developed part of the brain. The developed part of the brain is where all the logic processes. So if you were to say this is going to help your life, they don't understand that if you're not even in that part of the brain.
Mm.
And the biggest thing when it comes to sales or anything, if you trigger that defense mechanism, that reptilian part of someone's brain by being too aggressive, by being too forceful,
Bad.
it shuts everything off.
Yep.
Because now you're in conflict, and no matter what you say, it doesn't matter if you're saying you're literally gonna make $1 million guaranteed. This part of their brain is shut off that they don't even listen to you anymore.
That's a great point. And we'll teach everybody something. So you just said you're going to make $1 million guaranteed. Let's say 100,000, just so it's like a more realistic offer, right?
Yeah.
By saying the same thing but phrasing it as a question. This is how we teach. Is obviously it's called consultative selling, but I want the prospect to always say out loud what I want them to say or what I would be telling them if it makes sense. So like an example is like you said, I guarantee you'll make $100,000. Instead of saying that, you could ask the prospect, what would it do for your life if you made $100,000 this year? And then they're going to start thinking of all the emotional reasons behind that and not just like, oh, logically, like you said, he's telling me this. And then they think, why is he telling me this? Because when
Yeah.
you talk to people, they get defensive because there's always an ulterior motive. Everyone and people know what a sales call is. Like
Right.
it triggers sales resistance. But every time you say a question, what would happen if you don't do this? What would
Yeah.
happen if this happened? Or how does this affect your life? How does this make you feel? It makes them emotional and it's a lot better buying state.
I think the biggest part of it is making sure that whoever you're talking to doesn't feel like they're getting sold or doesn't feel like you need them more than they need you.
100%.
A big part of me whenever I did any sort of sales, like let's say car sales, for example, I would try my best to help them imagine themselves in the car. We would take it for a test drive. That's like a big part. Hey, you want to drive it so they could drive it.
Yeah.
And then I would say like, oh, you're gonna look so good, like coming out of this thing, like hopping out of your whip. You're gonna look great.
Future pacing them to visualize
Yeah, and then
it.
they're like, "Ooh, like, can you imagine like just hopping out of that?" And they're like, "Yeah, I would look good in that." Because you get their emotional state there to that same level that you are, right?
Yeah.
And same thing when it comes to, let's say you're selling a program, a training program. You say, "Could you imagine yourself running your own agency and being your own boss versus right now you work a job?" And there's nothing wrong with that, but I can almost guarantee you'll feel way better running your own business,
Hmm.
doing your own thing. And they're like, "Man, you're right. Like, I could definitely picture that."
So like trust and likability are like the two things that make a good salesman. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, but even more than that, because likability is like a very broad word, right? Like, what does it mean to you ever had a coach? Like, you play sports? What'd you play? Okay, who was the best coach you ever had, results wise? I bet you didn't like him as much as maybe the other one, did you? No, and why? He was hard on you. So the same way, like consultative selling is, you're kind of like a therapist or an advisor or a doctor. You're not like a salesperson. You're in more of like a coaching kind of role. I like to have certainty more than I like that person to like me, because I think liking someone is built on respect, and you only respect people that have your best interest in mind and actually tell you what you need to hear, if that makes sense. So certainty is by far the best example is, like, if I offered you a Lamborghini Huracan for 100 grand and you know they're like $350,000, you would do everything in your power in the next 24 hours to come up with that money. You would go ask people for money, you'd go get funding, whatever, to get that car because you know it's a good deal, right? So why are people not doing that to buy your program or to buy your offer? If they're not, it's because they don't have the same level of certainty. So your job as a salesperson is to build that certainty in those people to the point where they will do literally whatever it takes to get in because they're certain they will achieve XYZ, whatever the result or the outcome or whatever the program is.
And a lot of the time, the way you build that certainty at someone, it's through conviction.
Hmm.
So the best salespeople are the ones that are convicted about whatever it is they're selling. If someone sucks at selling something, most of the time it's because they don't believe in what they're selling.
Yeah,
Because I know I can speak from experience. When I'm selling something I don't believe in, I'm kind of timid, more timid. Versus when I genuinely believe in something, people can feel it. 90% of communication is nonverbal. So they hear your voice when you're talking about something you genuinely believe in and know that will help them. They're gonna feel that instantly, and it's contagious almost.
I agree 1,000,000%. That's like the biggest thing, to be honest. Certainty and conviction, because certainty is on their end, conviction's on your end, and you give them certainty by having a lot of conviction in your offer. That's why we close 85, 90% on ours. It's not because of like it's an expensive product. It's not because of our marketing. It's not because of whatever. It's because when people get on the phone, we know 1,000,000% we can help them achieve whatever their goal is, and we tell them that in a way that's like 100% all in. There is no like hesitancy there.
So if people wanted to get into sales, what would your best advice be to them?
So there's two ways. I'm a really big fan of learning from people that are where you want to be. You Sales is one of those beautiful things where you can learn it without buying a course. You can learn it without whatever.
Yeah.
But the reality is, it's just going to take you longer, and,
Yeah.
and that's your two options. If you have the cash to pay somebody, 100% pay them, because the analogy we use this one calls is like, let's say I want to learn basketball, right?
Mhm.
Am I better off going to a gym by myself for free and just putting shots up if I've never played before, or paying LeBron 10 grand to train me?
Yeah.
LeBron is going to make me
One
way
hundred
better, right?
percent. One hundred
So if
percent.
you can't afford it, fine, go hustle, go grind, go eat dirt, whatever, and make it happen. You 100% can. I did that. Like, I didn't buy a course, but the easiest way is to get training from someone that is already where you want to be. They already know exactly what they're doing. They're actually an expert, and do your research and make sure they're legit.
Yeah.
But all you need in sales, it's very simple. This is why it's so good. You need the skill, you need the offer to sell. That's it. You
Mhm.
need one client. You don't need multiple clients. You don't need a team. You don't need anything. You literally need to be good enough to close deals and perform, and you need a good offer. And if
Yeah.
you're on a good offer, you don't even have to be that good. That's the beautiful like leverage
Yeah.
of this thing.
Ultimately, if the product is good, everyone will buy it. I
Yes.
tell people all the time. You know what the easiest thing, like the easiest sales job is? It's a company like Tesla. Imagine being a Tesla salesman. I don't think they even have sales reps because Elon Musk does all of the marketing already.
Hmm.
When people look at Tesla, they're like, I want to buy it already.
Yeah.
They don't even they don't even
You don't
have
need to
to
talk
talk to
into it.
anyone. Yeah,
Yeah.
they buy it from a computer. They'll order it online and they'll get it. So imagine being a salesperson for that when they're just like, I want to buy it. And like, oh, okay, you want to hear about it? No, I just want to buy it. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, cool.
It's cracked. And I mean, like, even our guys that are beginners, the reason they make so much money is not because they're the best salespeople in the world. Like,
Mm,
reality, fuck, I can't talk. Reality wise, they're not the best in the world.
yeah.
But when you go sell for like an Eman Ghazi type of brand, or Grant Cardone, or Sam Ovens, or Tai Lopez, like you did, they've already built all the trust. They've already built all the certainty. They've already built the results. And you're basically, a lot of times, more so taking not orders from someone, but you're taking their order of like, oh, I want to buy this. Okay, here's how you sign up,
Yeah.
opposed to like talking them into buying something.
Mhm. And the craziest part is with some brands, like Tai Lopez is a good example. He had a program that was $25,000 and it was a mastermind. And we would call people, cold call them, people that had like spoken to him uh, maybe months, years before.
Hmm.
We would call them and we would say, "Hey, are you interested in this new program that he has?" And then we would just explain what it was. And believe it or not, off of a cold call, you would close deals for $25,000. And that's just the power of the trust in the brand,
Yeah.
the product, the offer.
And that's who you should sell for. Like, and that's probably the next question everyone has is like, what do we sell? Like, you're telling us sales, what do you sell? Don't sell cars, don't sell insurance, don't sell corporate, don't sell any of that. My favorite thing to sell is what's called B2C, business to consumer offers, and that's going to be high ticket coaching, consulting, agency. Um, I think I just covered it. Solar is good as well. We have guys that have made 65 grand in a month in solar.
Yeah.
A guy on my team actually, his third month ever in sales, made 65 bands profit commission in
Crazy.
his bank account.
From
Another
solar.
kid was cold calling solar,
Uh-huh.
$37,000 in a month. His name's Cade. So solar's good too, but you've got to play like high leverage games. Like we're in sales to make a lot of money. I'm
Mhm.
not in sales to like brag about being the best or be like, oh, you cold call while I close inbound. Like I don't care. I'm here to make a lot of money
Right.
and learn business so that I can go get rich in the next year or two afterwards. You know what I mean? That's my goal. So you want to get a personal brand. You want to make sure that they get good customer results because it's easy to sell results. And you want to make sure that it's high ticket, 3 grand and above, and you got a money printer.
Yeah, 100%. And I tell everyone this, there's so much money out in the world. Just if you look out the window right now, we're like on the 50th story. If you look out into the world right now, that's $1 billion building. That's $1 billion building. That's $1 billion building. There are people living in there paying 20 grand a month just to live there.
Yeah.
There are thousands of people paying over $10,000 a month. Think about how much money there is in the world. So for you to sit there and not have six figures, not make six figures, it's kind of ridiculous. It just shows how lazy you are. Because there's people out here that are spending. Actually, my boy, I have a friend that lives right there. He pays like 30 grand a month in
Oh,
rent.
I know who it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy how much money there is out there, and if you can capture it, sales is a vehicle to capture it.
And that's the thing off what you said too. Like people are lazy,
Mhm.
but even on top of that, like they just lack the skill.
Yeah.
You have to have to make money. Like if we go to a fundamental basis, you have to have what skills. You don't make money without skills. You don't make
Yeah.
money from business models. You make money from skills.
100%.
So like, oh, I'm a Amazon drop shipper. No, you're not. You are good at building products, or you're good at sourcing products, or you're good at logistics.
Yeah.
That's what you're good at. So the same way, if you learn sales, you have a skill that will go with you. It's the oldest skill in history. And a lot of people will say prostitution, but what are the prostitutes selling?
Fair.
Sales.
Yeah.
It's sales. So if you have a skill that like that, you literally just need to go wherever the money is flowing in the market, whether it's solar or roofing or coaching, consulting. All these gurus selling courses, they all employ salespeople.
I tell everyone the skills you want. If you want to become a millionaire, or if you want to just become wealthy overall, sales and marketing are the two things you need to know
And
how to do.
marketing is just sales to many.
Yes.
Yeah.
So sales and marketing, if you learn those two skills, you're going to be very, very rich. That's the ultimate, I think, tool set that you need. Because I know sales. I did sales first, then I learned marketing. You did sales first, and then you did marketing, and we made a lot of money because
And it
of
makes it
it.
a lot easier too. Because I mean, marketing is literally copywriting, it's understanding how the process goes of like warming people up in their stage, but all of it goes back to sales.
Yeah.
Like if you're cold calling, it's the same as you running a cold Facebook ad to somebody.
Right.
It's the same first touch point.
Yeah.
Your closing call is maybe the VSL or the funnel or the webinar they go through, right?
Mhm.
Like it's the same stuff. It's literally just a different vehicle or form of it. But
Mhm.
without learning the first part, you're kind of just like you're like building a foundation, or you're building a pyramid with no foundation.
Yep. 100%.
So you guys were talking about all your successes and everything. Was there like a giant sale that you guys lost, and why did you lose it?
I mean, I've lost
Maybe one that sticks in your mind.
Yeah, I think we've all lost some big sales.
I've lost a couple $100,000 deals, but I've
Ooh.
closed a couple $100,000 deals.
Oh.
Like for example, right now, just this isn't a loss, but just as an example, I'm not going to say details. I am I'm like brokering a deal between someone that is buying one of 9 in the world or in the US Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport, 300 plus edition, which is like the black with orange. I'm brokering this deal between the buyer and the seller, and if it goes through, all I have to do is literally just because I know the people and I use basic ass sales skill, I just get a paper sign that says I will pay you X commission. I'm gonna make like 200 grand. Like this happened yesterday. I went and met the guy. So like that I didn't lose yet. I might lose it, whatever. But like, bro, that's so much money. That's like more than 99.9% of the world makes ever. and it's simply because I knew a little bit of how to use the skill.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot. It's a lot of money, but lost deals, I mean, I'm sure you lost a lot of
Man,
deals
I've lost
too.
a lot of deals. The worst is for beginner salespeople, and I made this mistake a lot. Beginner salespeople take what everyone says and they don't dig deep enough.
Facts,
So
facts.
with me, I was working on like a $20,000 deal, and the person said, "Oh, okay. I need to think about it, but it's a yes. I need to think about it, but it's a yes. I'm gonna come back to you. It's a yes." And with me, instead of going through the process of figuring out why it's not a yes on the phone or what the actual reason was, I said, "Oh yeah, sounds good. Cool. Talk to you soon." Guess what? Gets off the phone, call him back, ghosts me.
Never hear from those people
Never hear
again.
from me ever again. So the biggest thing is, I guess, big lesson I learned from that. You have to take a deposit. If you're doing a sale, if someone wants to do it, truly wants to do it, they want to do the deal. They will put a deposit down. They will do it on the spot.
Mhm.
They're not gonna say, "Oh, I'll talk to you later," because the second they do that, that's just their cop out to never do it
It's an
again.
objection.
And
They lack certainty.
and the thing is, when you're on the phone with someone, that's when they're the hottest. That's when they're the most emotional. That's when they're in state. So if you get off the phone with them, all of that goes away. When I think of sales, all you're doing is like build. It's foreplay. You're trying to get them to climax, right? You're trying to get them to bust. So like you just build them up. You just build them up. The entire sales call. If you were on a 2-hour sales call, that means you were just going for a while, bro. You were foreplaying for a while, and at the end, that's the finish. So when you're on a sales call and you're building them up and you get to the end and they don't finish, guess what? The next time you get on the phone with them, if you ever get on the phone with them ever again, you're gonna have to fucking foreplay again for another fucking hour or two just to get them
Your
back to
odds
that
are a
same.
lot lower. They're a lot
Yeah.
lower. I did that too. Like, the first meeting, this wasn't a big deal, but the first meeting I ever had, I drove to a Red Robin to meet a realtor in Dayton, Ohio,
Okay.
and I didn't know like how to close and like take payment and everything. So
Mhm.
he's like, "Okay, I'm in," and I was like, "Awesome." I was like, I closed my first deal and I left, and then again, I never heard back from the guy, and I was like, "Why?" I didn't understand. I was
Yeah.
like, "Why is this guy?" He said, "Yes." Like, guys, people are so fearful to buy anything. Like,
Mhm.
honestly, one of the biggest problems you have to overcome as a salesperson is the other person's fear. It's not
Yeah.
even like your product or your offer or selling yourself. It's how scared are they? Because like, if you have never invested in yourself, and I'm asking you to put down $5,000 to buy a fitness program or a coaching program or a business, whatever it is, you're going to be scared to death of that. Like, you're not going to want to. And if you can't overcome that fear, then you're not going to do it.
Most people have been programmed to be scared of these things,
Yeah.
which is what drives me crazy about the college education system because they've been programmed in the reverse way. They're like,
Yeah.
hey, borrow 20, 30 grand to pay for college. We're not going to guarantee you a job or nothing, but
Yeah.
like you'll get a degree. That's crazy to me.
It's crazy.
But they're scared to invest in themselves. So when I see that, at the end of the day, sales is just breaking down other people's fear,
Yeah.
right?
And
Makes
it's a lot of
sense.
fear. It's self fear. It's fear of the solution, maybe. It's fear of the outcome, and that's where you got to really, if you're a good closer, you really got to dig into people's heads.
Yeah.
Like, where are you right now? Oh well, and rookie closers would take that. Oh, I work at McDonald's, and a rookie closer would just be like, okay, cool. Next question. Dig into that. How do you like working at McDonald's? Oh, I hate it. It sucks. Like, why does it suck? Like, you always go down a level on
Mhm.
what they say until you bring out the pain. Because if it's just, oh, I work at McDonald's, and you go to the next thing, you're not triggering pain in their brain. But if it's, hey, you work at McDonald's right now? Oh, I hate it. Okay, then you ask, like, what's your family like right now? Oh, well, I mean, we're struggling. W- would you like to be able to take care of your family? Like, how do you feel that you can't take care of your family? Like, does your mom
Mhm.
work still? Like, trigger all this pain, and then you just bring it all back together, and then it realizes in the prospect's brain, like, oh, I work at McDonald's right now. It sucks. I can't do what I want to do. This thing that this guy's telling me about is the vehicle to get out of all of that. And like, I mean, that's super high level, but like at a high level, that's exactly what you're doing in
Yeah.
basically every transaction.
Yeah. I mean, any business, right? Every business, all it is there's a problem. You find a product that solves the problem. You have a vehicle to sell whatever it is your solution is,
Yep.
and then you fulfill on your promise.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, I mean, sales is just business. It's just the same. Businesses and sales work the exact same way, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so there's a kid out there and he's like struggling to do sales. What are the top three things that you're gonna tell him to get better?
Like, he's in sales, but he's struggling.
Yeah,
Three things, easy. Number one, I'm gonna go on skill, like the skill in sales, not like what books you should read, whatever. you 100% need to learn how to objection handle. It's what everyone fucks up. It's what he said earlier, right? The guy said, "Oh, I'm in," and then you got off the phone. No, a deal's not a deal until you have money or a contract signed or something's done, like whatever. Anything before that is an objection, and there's something stopping them from moving forward. So learn how to dig into things and learn how to identify what is a smokescreen, which is basically a nice word for bullshit. So if someone says, "Oh, I need to think about it," thinking about it is not a state of being. Like it's not a state of being. Okay. If you say, "Oh, I don't have enough money," that's a state of being. I don't have enough money, and you can still dig into that. But I need to think about it is not an objection. That's like a smokescreen for either I need to talk to somebody, I'm scared, I don't want to do this, or I can't afford it. Like it's one of those, and then you got to dig into that. Secondly, is how to ask questions. Like if you ask good questions on a sales call, it makes the close so easy because, like Rene said earlier, I like you said ammo because that's how I explain it.
Yeah.
So I literally tell our closers to visualize like you have a magazine, and
Mhm.
every question I ask, and I get a where do you work at? How does that make you feel? What happens in your life if you don't do this? It's like a bullet I'm just putting into the magazine, and at the end you just let that thing spray and you close. You know what I mean? You got to remind them. Well, oh, I'm scared. I don't want to move forward. Well, John, you said earlier like you're working at McDonald's right now and nothing is going to change if you don't do anything. So what is going to keep you from doing that? You know what I mean? Like you bring it back up. And then I would say a third thing, other than intelligent question asking and objection handling, um, I would say learn how to have conviction. And you got to have your own like kind of sauce. So a lot of people will watch like sales training videos of different guys on Instagram or whatever and try to emulate that person and that will never work. Like if I taught you to sell like I sell, it would never work. But I can teach you the framework to where then you can plug your own personality into it. Like he doesn't sell like I sell. I don't sell like all these other guys sell, okay? You just can't do it. So you have to be yourself because if you're acting like someone else, that means there's like a disconnect between who you are and your words and your tonality, and you can hear it. The prospect can hear it. So you've got to really like kind of build yourself up and have conviction in not only yourself but in the offer as well. Those are my three things.
That's fire. My three things are pretty simple. If I were to give someone that was failing at sales three pieces of advice to make them better, the first one would be to learn psychology, learn how people work, learn how people operate. Because at the end of the day, human beings are animals. In the same way you have a dog and you pull out a treat and he starts drooling or he'll like go crazy, human beings are the same way. There's little switches in the human brain. If you flip enough of them with your words, and that's the cool part about sales, your words are actually little mind control
It's
devices.
kind of
And
crazy,
everything you
isn't it?
say, if I say the right thing enough times, let's say throughout a conversation, I hit 20 points that flip little switches in their brain, I can influence the outcome of what I want him to say. So I can eventually lead him to a desired outcome. So learn psychology, learn what makes people tick, learn what makes people act the way they do. And when you do that, you'll look at sales like a game and it'll be a lot more fun and you'll be a little bit more successful. The second thing I would say, just get your reps up. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
I think Grant Cardone said this. Sales is a contact sport. And the more contacts you make, the more money you make. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're a good salesperson or not.
Mm.
If you do 10,000 cold calls, one of them's gonna close,
Yeah.
right? So like you could be a complete idiot. You don't have to be good at all. You could be super introverted. You could pick up the phone and be like, well, and you call enough people, one of them will close and one of them will give you money and you'll be successful in sales. But more than that, when you do the contact sport, when you just contact a lot of people, you get reps in, you're gonna get good at it. If I spend 10,000 hours on a basketball court, doesn't matter how shitty I am, to some extent, I'm gonna be good by the end of it. So
Hmm.
if you're struggling, just fucking call people, talk to people. Doesn't matter. Call with no outcome in mind. Call just to fucking talk and see how long you can keep them on the phone for. The more you do that, the better you're gonna get, and you're gonna see results immediately. And then the last thing, I guess, just going off you said conviction. I want to expand on that a little bit. Sell something that you like, sell something that you believe in. Don't just sell for the money. A lot of people make the
Like,
mistake of selling something that they completely don't even like because they're like, ooh, they see dollar signs, let me sell this. But the issue is they don't believe it. I see it all the time with my agency students. They're trying to sell Facebook ads, and I tell them you could charge 10 grand a month for Facebook ads. And they say, oh, well, I don't. So they're not going to succeed because they're scared to do it. If you find a product that you like, let's say sales training, or I don't know, what's a product you might like? Let's say, I don't know, jewelry. You're really just passionate about jewelry. And you think people look better in jewelry, and you have a watch that's 100 grand, you're gonna feel very, very good because it's a premium watch, and you're gonna be able to sell it 10 times better because that conviction's gonna be there. So one thing for me, I learned this the hard way. I was selling used cars. It was something I didn't feel as good with, and that's why it affected my results and my sales. When you sell something you like, you're gonna have conviction, and I think those are my 3 things.
I like that. I
So,
like that last one a lot. Like,
Luke,
how are
before
you gonna sell something that
yeah,
you don't believe in?
Luke, before we go, what can people find you? What do you have going on?
So, Luke Alexander on everything: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We didn't. I said our students. Have you guys heard me say like our students, and we teach
Yeah.
our guys? I run one of the biggest sales education companies in the whole world. We teach people how to make anywhere from 5, 10, 20, $30,000 a month in sales with a skill. And like I said, the second point, we help them get a job. I also run a software company that gets salespeople jobs and where teams can actually go hire salespeople. It's like a Fiverr or an Upwork for closers. But yeah, maybe we'll work something out with Rene for you guys and for
Yeah.
everyone that watched. But
If you guys are
yeah.
interested in that, make sure you drop a comment on the video. Let me know. I'm gonna talk to him. I'm gonna see if we can get you guys some sort of deal on that.
Potentially, potentially. Well,
Cool.
bro, thank you so much.
Appreciate it, bro. Oh, we gotta do that right. Do it right.
I thought you were going for one of these.
And we could do that too. All right, cool.